So the idea is, if we are asking very heavily the Commission to include human rights within its SFSF law, the Sustainable Food System Framework Law, what does that mean in practice? The question, so it might seem a bit kind of frightening because I'll go through kind of technical proposals, but at the same time, by mentioning this kind of technical proposals, this is how we empower ourselves politically with this kind of political tool that exists, and we want to kind of grab them instead of just leaving them on the side. So that's a bit the kind of reflection that we will be suggesting in our table that will be around there, I think. Very briefly, because you heard about that before, our first policy recommendation is to have an SFS law that is based on rights. What does that mean? For example, so on rights of eaters, of citizens, and also on rights of farmers, food producers, people working in farms. One element that it could mean would be, for example, in the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, it would mean pushing further the social conditionality aspects, meaning you need to respect the human rights of your workers on your farm. Very briefly, just 2-second explanation, it's not enough, much more complex than that, but this element is one of those we can mention. Our second demand, as a reminder, was to have a democratic system and to ensure the participations of the citizens. And on that, you heard about it, even through this kind of lightning presentations. We talked about the food councils. And what if we talk about the European food councils? That we saw wasn't in the agenda, but let's imagine that. How would it look like? Our third recommendation is the one on the accountability of the private sector. We need to regulate these business activities. We know that, for example, right now, there is this processes around the UN Food System Summit, the UNFSS, that is actually a good example on how international cooperation can simply grab the governance processes and try and kind of enter into the processes and grab the governance process from the citizens. So how do we tackle that? How do we ensure the accountability of the different corporations also in terms of the money that the middle chain actors buy the food to the farmers? There is a directive that is called the Unfair Trading Practices. In Spain, this directive led to ensuring that farmers cannot be bought their food at a price that is lower to the production costs. It's a revolution. And the implementation is actually quite meaningful. So let's discuss about that. Fourth and final point is the question of sustainability and what do we mean by sustainability. I'll be a bit provocative here because in the debates with DJ Santé, we have heard a lot about the fact that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are actually a good opportunity towards achieving sustainabilities. They don't call it GMOs, they call it new breeding techniques that are actually other kind of GMOs. Therefore, this is a definition of sustainability that we would say actually it's against our human rights, it's against the UN drop. Therefore, how do we ensure we have the right tools when we discuss sustainability to counteract this kind of intrusion of terms and of principles that we don't want, such as we don't want GMOs to be considered as sustainable. I'll stop here. Those are a few kind of suggestions, but we look forward to your suggestions in the table that Almudena and I will facilitate.